Yes, yes, yes. Yay. Okay. Boy, I enjoyed having my son over so much. He's such a sweetie. He loves his mama. He takes good care of me. And now he takes good care of his wife, which is as it should be. Because even though your mom is important, your wife is even more important. Yeah, 4 o'clock. Okay, hang on. I'm actually running a little behind. Let me get off of here. Nope. Sorry, wrong one. Let's take this one down. Going to keep it quiet for just a second so that I have a little spot where I can start, and that should be good. So we're going to go ahead, come on, turn that page off. All right, y'all. Well, I am officially welcoming you to block number 5. Block number 5, if you've already pre-cut your fabrics, you should be ready to go. Like I mentioned a few minutes ago, in case you were or weren't on, we are doing rainbow logs. I know I didn't mention it, but we're going to be having some fun with this. The first part is going to be the most time consuming, kind of like the last one we did. Pretty time consuming, but that last part will go very, very quickly. So I have all my little pieces cut out here on my project board. See, I actually remember that name. I had to struggle there for a second to remember it, but here's my project board. I have all my pieces on here. I am going to make some amendments to the design or to the page before I send it to you complete, because I just know that there's a couple things that should be in there that are not in there, and we'll cover that today, and then I'll make sure it's on the paper. And I don't know if you can tell, but I put the letters on each one of the colors. Now, real quick, let me show you this. All right, so this is what I did. Now, one of the neat things, and I will just briefly, very quickly show this. A friend of mine gave me these, but a friend of mine gets these in the mail a lot, and they're the little stickers that come from the different fundraisers that people do, Easter Seals, maybe it's the Wounded Warriors, but they send you these little stickers in hopes that you will send them money. And that's great. I love it, but I wind up with a lot of them. So what Miss Sheila reminded me of is to take the stickers and, using a Sharpie, mark the whatever you need to for that stack onto it and use it on your paper. I do like that. The only thing is I worry about is, I don't know if you can see this one right here, but it's smudged. It takes a few minutes for that Sharpie to actually dry and not smudge. So make sure that you're giving yourself plenty of time for the ink to dry before you start stacking other fabrics on top of it, because you may actually make it get to the backside of another fabric, or it might mess up another fabric, and sometimes you only have so much fabric to work with. So just make sure that it's dry before you start stacking fabric on top of it. Oop, I heard my phone. Hang on a sec. I'm trying to make sure I don't leave anybody out, so if somebody needs my attention to get on. Where is my phone? I heard it. I heard it. Uh-oh. Not over here. Well, maybe if it rings again, I'll hear where it's coming from. Oh, I see it. All right, hang on. All right, let's see. Okay, I can answer her later. Okay. Just want to make sure it wasn't somebody that needed our attention to get on. Okay, so let's get back to here. All right. So that's what it is. Just use some of those, or if you have leftover address labels, blank address labels, so those work as well. I know I do have some pins that have ABC and 123 on the pin heads, and that's kind of nice. But this is, believe it or not, this is kind of easier. You know, you just stick it and pull it off when you're done with it. So kind of like that way that works out. Did I mess up the pattern? No, Miss Sheila, you did not mess up the pattern. The pattern is perfectly fine. I'm just going to make a couple little itty bitty amendments, just a couple of light tweaks to it, just because I noticed there was something that I think would be beneficial in adding, not taking away or changing. So no, the pattern was beautiful. As usual, you do an amazing job on it, and I am 100% grateful that you do this for me. Because we both know, everybody in the hearing of my voice knows at this point, I don't do patterns well. That's why I leave it to somebody who can definitely do a better job of it than me. I like to design it, but after I'm done designing, then I can explain it to somebody else who can understand what I'm saying, which is a challenge in itself, and then take that and put it on paper for me. It's like me trying to proofread my own work. Doesn't work. And I definitely need a proofreader because I suck at that too. Hello, Janice. Missed you yesterday. Glad you're feeling better. Yes, we are so happy you're joining us today, and we are hoping that you are feeling better now, or getting there. But we love you and we miss you. Okay. All right, let's get started. Because we got to get this going. Because this is, like I said, it's going to be fun. All right, so the first thing we're going to start with is we're going to start at the very top with colors D, E, F, H, I, J. All right, it told you to take one color of each and cut into, take one and make it into 4.25 by 4.25, and then cut it diagonally twice. And for some reason, I don't know. I'm thinking that number sounds a little weird to me. I hope I didn't do it just for an inch. Oh no, I did it by 4.5. It figures. It figures. I did 1/4 of an inch too much. Okay, anyways, hopefully you have yours right, mine are wrong. And then you have another piece down here for the K's, which are 2.5-inch square, 2.5 by 2.5, and then you cut those down into 1/4 inch squares. I'm sorry, cut those boy, I'm just messing up. Let's try this again. I guess I threw myself because I talked about that 4.5 and that 4.25. I can't believe I did that. It happens. Okay. Let's see, I can take off a little bit of each one. And that is just a little bit. Let's see here. I'm thinking that looks like about 1/8 of an inch. Let's take a peek. Let's see. So I'm not going to worry about that right now. We're just going to keep on going. Ooh, excuse me. Yeah, it's about 1/8 of an inch on everything. All right, so first things you want to do, and we're going to be doing this on all of them, is we're going to take some of the black squares off. Okay, take some of your black squares, take some of your oh, sorry. And you know what? I can trim mine down. I can just go ahead and do them and trim them later. Okay. Y'all, I feel guilty because they're not right. Let me trim this one up first, so at least we start with the right size. pretty good, 4 1/4. Okay, so that's all I need to do is just trim off a 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so we're going to take it, yep, just like that. And we're going to go ahead and do this piece right here. Okay, now there is another part in here where I really, really, really need you to stick with me. So make sure that if you don't have an opportunity to watch this all the way through, please make sure that you are watching the video later, okay? Because there's a section we're going to get into a little bit after this. Okay. We're going to go ahead and we are going to first color. All right. So the very first, actually, we're going to work with all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all 6 of the colors, D, E, F, H, and I. So basically stack them up, and we're going to add that first side, and we're going to do them all at one time. Okay? How's that sound? We can do the first one right now so you can see what we're doing. And then we can do the rest of them. Or we can just go ahead and do them all at once. I mean, one side of it. What do you think? Give me a quick yes, yay or nay. If you'd rather do one and see how it turns out, then tell me that, and we'll start with F. What do you think? We're supposed to have them cut. Yes, we're supposed to have Miss Claudine on the directions. It does say, or at least it should say, take your 4 1/2 and cut diagonally twice. Sally says, do them all. All right, so if you see what I'm doing here, I am taking the longest side of the K, that's your background, your K, and I'm putting the longest side on one side. For mine, I'm putting them on the right side. I always do the same side over and over again. I'm going to stack up a few of these real quick and just trim off that 1/8 of an inch that I goofed up. It's kind of funny because when I looked at it, I was like, wait a minute. That number doesn't look right. You know how sometimes you just, like, you hear a noise and you know that's not the right noise? Well, I saw a number and knew that was not the right number. I'm like, wait a minute. I goofed something up. Do one so we can see it. Okay, so far I got 2. That's what I did. Okay, then once you cut your 4 1/4, then you can in diagonal and then diagonal again. Then you should have these triangles that measure 4 1/4 on the bottom by however tall that is. 3, 1, 2, 2 1/4, basically 2 1/4 on top. I'm stacking mine up so I can cut these real quick. All right, so here's what we do. I goofed also. I'm so sorry. Is it something with the directions? Do I need to do the directions different? I know that on one of them it has the box and the other one doesn't. It just has the instruction as opposed to the box. Do one. Okay. All right. So that's 2 people for do one. So we're going to do one first, and then we'll go through and do all of the rest at the same time. Okay? How did I miss one? And I hope I'm not double cutting some of these. That would be terrible. Make it and mess it up even worse. Okay. Let's go ahead and do one then. We're going to start with, we're going to start with F. Let's start with F, okay? And I still have 2 more colors to cut. Okay, everybody ready? All right, so we're going to take F. We're going to take the long side of your K, which is your background, and we're going to put it on the right side of your triangle. Okay, just like this. Pin it, snip it, clip it, baste it. I don't care what you do to it. I know there are some people out there that will even glue baste. Hey, I'm all for it. Whatever works best for you. Then we're going to come over here. I was going to say, hopefully my throat plate turns on. We're going to come over here and we're going to do our 1/4 inch seam. Remember to keep it as close to a 1/4 inch seam as you can. Okay, even if it's just a little bit, you know, a little bit shy of a 1/4 inch seam. And then we're going to flip it over. Finger press, use your iron, try not to distort it too much. See, I'm pulling on it and that's going to distort it, so we just want to use that iron just like that. Okay? Okay. And then, there's the big one. Where's my little one? Oh, there's my little one. And then we're just going to place it right on top. What do you call the right side? The right side? The correct side? I could be misunderstanding the question. Okay, so right sides to right sides. Right side. Oh, okay, right side. The actual right versus left side. Right versus left. So this is my right side. This is my left side of the triangle. And this is the bottom. Okay? So, let me take this off. So here is my right side, my left side, bottom side. Now on this one, it doesn't matter whether I use the right or wrong side of the fabric, but I have the bottom, the right, the left. And I'm going to take and turn it so that my bottom of my triangle goes up against the right side of the triangle on the colored triangle, not the background. So this is K. This is going to go on the over the top of K. So long side, this would be the left side, right side, and this is the left side. Okay? All right, is that a little easier? That a little easier? Okay. Then we stitch it down right here, stitch it down 1/4 inch, fold it over, you know, do your little iron, your wood iron or whatever works for you. And then this is what we have next. So then next, we're going to take another one. And we're going to take it, and again, we're going to use that bottom side of the triangle, and we're going to flip it over, match it up to the bottom. So we're using the bottom as a reference. Use the bottom of K as a reference to where to put this point and this point. Okay? Ooh, my little stiletto is getting stuck. I guess I'm pushing on it too hard. Of course, I am on top of my little itty bitty wool mat. I like my little itty bitty wool mat. Okay, trim it down, and then let's go over here. Get my iron out of the way if I could stop stepping on it. Lord, I step on everything, cords and everything. Okay, and where's my stiletto? And we're going to put it right up at 1/4 of an inch right there. Ah! And we're going to give it a, and again, just let it guide itself in there. You're just making sure that it doesn't twist or turn or move suddenly. So just guide it in there and let the machine do all the work. And if you notice, when you come out of that stitch, let's see if I can get us close enough here. When you come out of that stitch, isn't that nice? That white shows up really good. You should be coming out at the corner over here. Okay, can everybody see that okay? And that's when you know that you're starting to get better at lining these up and finding the right sections. Now if I kept it with the that 1/8 of an inch at the bottom, it may not have turned out quite the way it was supposed to because of the way it should have ironed. Okay. Now let's get back over here to the table, and we're going to flip this over. Give it a quick little press there with my nice, I think this one almost works better to me than the bamboo one I've been using for the last 3 or 4 blocks. And this is the one Craig made for me. I love that one. Look at that. All right, so let's give it a quick press. And again, you just want to place the iron down on it and not wiggle around or try to get it rolled over there, okay? All right. This block is supposed to be, if I remember correctly, 2 inches by 3.5 inches. All right, so let's take a look. Right here is 1 3/4 of an inch by 1 3/4 of an inch. So I use this line right here. I don't know if you can see it here. Let me lower this thing one more time. Okay. Okay. So this is the mark I used right here, and I'm going to go all the way down to 2. So push this up. We're actually really close to this. Mine were really off, so maybe I did my first ones that way too, where I did it 4.5 instead of 4 1/4. Okay. And then we're going to trim it one more time using this 1/4 of an inch right there, this 1/4 of an inch spot right here to line up with that little V right there. So this and this should all match up at this point. The only thing you're really trimming off is this one end. And you'll get faster at this as you go, but your first one is probably going to make you crazy because you're going to think, oh my gosh, it's going to take me forever. Nah. Once I got going on it, it really went very quickly. Mine is just shy of half. Huh? Mine is just shy of half. I wonder if you can send a picture. I don't think you can. So you should be 2 inches by 3.5. Now, if you're just shy of a half, I wonder, did you cut it exactly 4.5 and then diagonal twice? I assumed you did, because you should be right at it. 3.5. Okay, so just shy of 3.5. Okay, all right. That's after I read it for a second. I was like, oh, okay, I get it. I get it. It made sense. Um, Make sure this is important because this is where you really need that 1/4 inch to be a 1/4 inch or smaller. Okay, make it a scant 1/4 of an inch. It's easier to take off fabric than to trim off fabric than it is to try to stretch it. You don't want to stretch it to make that 3.5 inches. Okay, all right, so that's basically what we're going to be doing. So now we're just going to basically mass produce these bad boys one right after another. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and leave my little tags on for right now, because even if I sew through them, I can still rip them off. Okay, so we have these two. So now we're going to do all of them the same way. First thing we're going to do is we're going to put the right side on. And remember, if you need to, recheck your needle to make sure that you've got a 1/2 inch, because when you turn your machine off, it's going to reset back to its factory settings. Most machines will. You need to recheck that needle every time to make sure that you are getting the 1/2 inch, I'm sorry, the 1/4 inch from where your needle is to the edge of your whatever you're using as your guide. So recheck it and make sure. If you can't move it, then you need to do like a scan. Instead of going right up to the edge of where your 1/4 inch mark is, then come a little bit to the left of that, and that'll give you a little bit more room. Okay, I hope that helps. But the 1/4 of an inch is really, really important. Get over here. Okay, let me finish trimming off my 1/8 of an inch here. Okay. All right. Now let's get man, I got little pieces everywhere and it's getting into my good stuff. So let's get that out of the way. Okay. All right, so we've got 2 done. And let's go ahead and do the next one. Again, take long side, flip it over, long side against here. So did everybody have a good Thanksgiving? Measurement block again. This block, when completed, the block will be a 12.5 inch block. But this right here is going to be 2 inches from top to bottom by 3.5 inches from side to side. Okay, as you see, we're just putting them in here. And if it would make you feel better to turn your, the fabric that you're using for this, to turn it in the direction that you're going to lay it, especially if you have a right and wrong side, which I don't, but you guys might, because both sides look exactly the same to me. Then, put it whichever way it works best for you. See how easy that is? If you turn all your fabric the same way, the same direction that you have to put it down. So we actually had 2 Thanksgiving dinners. One at my daughter's house, which was absolutely delicious, and lots of food, lots of food. Of course, there was a lot of people there too. Lots of food. And I did really good, just took about a spoonful of everything, because of course I had to eat everything. My daughter and I made up 3 of the dishes that we brought. We brought a corn casserole, a green bean casserole, and dressing. I brought the dressing because my mother-in-law used to make this dressing. She still does. Makes this dressing that's so good. In fact, sometimes I just make it as a dinner. I'll add corn or green beans or both, plus some chicken to it, and it basically makes a meal. So sometimes when the kids are just not in the mood or I'm not in the mood, that's what I'll make because it cooks up so easily. I learned a lot from my mother-in-law. She taught me a lot about cooking and cooking well. Let's see. That feels a little weird. Yeah, that one didn't cut. I thought I cut both of those. Okay, let's cut them again. As soon as I put that fabric on, I knew that didn't look right. So we're going to cut off 1/8 of an inch. Okay. Oh, that was weird. Okay. Now it should fit better. And again, I'm just making sure it lines up back here and down here at the bottom. If I can get it there, then it's going to be golden. Okay. And I need one more background square. One more K to go on top of here. Perfect. And then we had dinner at my house the next day because we had prime rib. And my husband made prime rib. He likes to do that for holidays. Make a prime rib instead of just turkey or whatever. In fact, he thought ham was a really weird thing to have at a Thanksgiving or Christmas get-together. Of course, that was kind of like a staple for us when we were raising our kids. We always had ham. I think even as a child, I remember having ham at Christmas and Thanksgiving. Excuse me. Okay, now that we have them all pinned, we're going to come over here and we are going to stitch them all together. Start with one. I hope everybody remembered to do your bobbins. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous. I put a brand new bobbin in, but at the same time, I have been quilting a lot. I've been doing a lot of work. See, it wants to spin, and I think it's because I'm trying to hold on to it. This is where your stiletto will come in awfully handy. And of course, you know, if you need to, flip it over. And then slide it in there. You know, I say do whatever works for you. Is everybody up to sewing these blocks? Are we still trying to put them together? Just let me know where you're at, where you are, what process you're up to. If you like my stiletto, I actually do have them for sale. I think they're in my Etsy shop, srqquilter.etsy.com. Or you can just ask for one right through the Facebook. I was trying to get them loaded onto my page, but I don't think that my Etsy allows for local pickup. So if you just let me know that you want one, then I can bring it to the next guild function if you are local. And they run about $35. And the neat thing about my stiletto is it's not just a stiletto, it's also a seam ripper. And I love that. And they're nice seam rippers too. I like mine. And I put a little clip on the end so that when I put it down, it doesn't roll away from me. I'm sewing all colors first, then trim. I have 2 colors done. Whatever works for you, I say go for it. Me, I'm one of those chain piecers. I like to chain piece. Like a serial chainer, serial chain piecer. Yep, this is the one Craig made. This is the one Craig made. I love them. I finally found it. It was in with all the rest of them. At least I think that's the one he gave me. Anyways, okay. So that's all of them. And then we're going to come back over to here. I got my gypsy. I'm just going to snip them apart. You can also do this on your sewing machine if you have one of those little things on the side. I know Miss Claudine picked up my 2, I had 2 flower thread snippers, and she got both of them, one for her and one for her sister. And I love those, especially because I think the ones she got were the 60-inch blades. And I love my 60-inch blades. I use them pretty much all the time. You will find that the 60-inch rotary cutters will dull slower because it has more area it can cover. Okay. Now before I iron this, I will take these off, and then I can always put them back on again. All right. Is this working out for everybody so far? Like I said, be careful when you do this because these are a lot of bias edges, and you definitely don't want to cause your edges to bow in the center. But I like to do this because, in other words, if I don't, then I'm going to try to use the iron to flatten it first instead of using the iron to iron it down. Does that make sense? Does everybody understand what I'm talking about? Okay, all right. Miss Ann says she's correcting her seam and putting them back together. Okay, yeah, absolutely. You know what? This is the best time to do that. We're not in a hurry. You've got time. You can watch the videos whenever you need to. But it's a good way to practice to get it right. I heard someone once say, perfect practice makes perfect. And I thought, yeah, whatever. I mean, no matter what, you still have to practice to get things right. But the more often you do it, and you do it right, the easier it does get. See, I did sew that in there, and I will just rip that out. But by creating a crease ahead of time, then the iron knows where the seam is at, and so it's not trying to create a seam all on its own. I don't know if that sounds really silly, but it works for me. Okay. Get our little thingy out here. excuse me. Then I'm going to take this little piece off right here, and I'm going to put it on this one. Okay. Just give it a quick. How's everybody doing with this? I'm hoping this isn't frustrating for you. Okay, so I'm going to move my little sticker over to the other ones. I'll deal with that later. All right. Apparently that plastic doesn't pull off as easy as I thought it would. I know the paper ones will. Oh, no, there it goes. See, looks perfect. How did you get the middle part of the goose? I missed the first 10 minutes. Oh, hey, Miss Margaret. The middle part of the goose is the 4 1/4 inch colors D, E, F, H, I, and J cut into a, so it's 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 square, and then you cut it diagonal. And you're only going to use 2 of them. Now, that means that if you mess up, you got 2 more to spare. So you've got plenty of extras. And you don't have to worry about recutting them. But it's 4 1/4 square, piece of each color, 1 piece of each color, and then cut it diagonally twice. Cut it on the diagonal once, and then turn it and cut it on the diagonal again. And that is colors D, E, F, H, and I. And right now we are mass stitching all the colors because they're all the same. Okay? All right. All of them are stitched down. And this is just one part, and we have like 3 parts we have to go on this. So this is part 1, and there's another part after this, and then another part. And then we stitch it all together. Excuse me. Dinner was good. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of take all these, stack them together. Again, just to make it easier on myself, I'm going to stack them in the direction that I'm going to put the fabric on, so that all I have to do is pick it up and put it down, pick it up and put it down. Okay, and this is how we're ending. This is what it should end up like. And you will have to subcut this to get the edges cleaned up, okay? Okay. So let's see. Turn this piece this way. Okay. Okay. So now, you know how we talked about right and left sides? Okay, so now we're working on the left side of your triangle, of your goose. And we're going to take the bottom of your background square, or your background triangle, which is your K. Right now I'm working on I, but it doesn't really matter because we're working them all of these colors at one time. And we're going to put that long side, the bottom of the K, onto the left side of the color, whatever color that is. And then we're going to pin it down. Set it off the side because we're going to stitch it in just a few minutes. And we're going to do this with all the colors. Long side to left side of color. Right sides together. Correct sides, right sides together. Okay, you cut it twice. Yes. Yes, you do. Oh. And again, this is why I love my stiletto, because I can get in there and fine tune any little movements I need. Let's see how it looks on the back. Good. Looks good on the back. So when you were originally cutting your backgrounds, your background pieces, it told you to cut 14, I think. 14 of these. Because then you're going to turn around and subcut them by cutting them in half again, which gave you 28 of these little half square triangles. Are we doing one of each color or all of them? All of them. You are doing all of them. All of the triangled colors. So there should be, let's see, 6, 12, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6. There should be 12 of them. Again, that's the D, E, F, H, I, and J. You also have some, well, you don't have to worry about it because it's not listed that way. So all the D, E, F, H, I, and J. I and J. And if you notice, they actually go together very, very smoothly. They just line right up. As long as you've got it set up so that you can get that one color right onto the next color. I'm hoping there's not too much of a shadow, because there's a really bad shadow when I look at it, but when I look at the screen, it's not that bad. It's still a shadow, but not nearly as bad as what I see. We are doing all 12 of the colors. There's 2 of each, and so we're doing all 12 of them. We did the first one so you could see how it went together, and now we're going to do all of them by chain stitch. Now, if you were doing this block in multiples, you would just take a day and work on all your flying geese. If you were doing something, if you're just doing 1 or 2 for sample, yeah, you're going to be spending a lot of time working on one block. But when you're doing multiples, you just do them all at the same time. So we'll have 4 geese of each color. No, you only have 2 geese of each color. You only need 2 of each. Okay? I'm looking at the directions, and I see that doesn't say that, but you only need 2 of each, not 4. Okay? So you're going to get 4 out of it, but you only need 2 of them. What? Sally, I am so sorry. I thought you guys realized that when we were working with this. That is my fault. I didn't realize the directions didn't say anything about that. Let me jot that down in here. In the very beginning when we started, I did mention that you would use 2, and then the other 2 you set off to the side so that if something got messed up, you could do it. No wonder I'm short on black triangles. I'm so sorry, Miss Sally. I'm so sorry. That's why I'm always glad that there's extra fabric in there. Yes, we're only going to wind up with 12, which means we have 6 colors. We're going to do 2 of each one. So we're going to end up with 12 flying geese. of these colors. There will be another one later, but we're not dealing with that just yet. Yes, that would be why you wound up short on that. And I apologize again. I mentioned it at the beginning, but I didn't keep mentioning it, and it wasn't on the instructions. But that does show me that there is something else I need to put into the instructions as well. But you should wind up with, I think I have 4 left over. Let me think. Is that right? 14, 16. Yeah. So you should wind up with 4 left over after you have put together all of your flying geese. And yes, you should have some left over. So, y'all, I'm so sorry. Don't shoot me. Please don't shoot me. Don't murder me. I probably shouldn't say that. I put a bad algorithm in there. Okay. Here, let's... Okay. And we are going to, once again, chain piece all 12. Actually, I think we're down to 11 of our flying geese. See if I can get it comfortable on a chair. Okay. Y'all can get mad at me later. So just to reiterate, you're going to, when you cut that 4.5-inch square diagonally twice, you only need 2 of those triangles. The other 2 set off to the side. Use them for another project, use them for, in case you mess these up, then you'll have, some spares, but you only need 2. 2 of each color of D, E, F, H, I, and J. That's so funny too, because I've taken, I've done this one over and over. I think this is like the 3rd time I've done this block. This particular, I do all the blocks at least 2 or 3 times, and it didn't realize that it wasn't specific on that. So my goof, my bad. I don't know. Can y'all hear anything in the background? I think my husband is sleeping and the TV's on, and I don't want it to be on because then it messes up my copyright. All right, hang on just a second. I'm gonna put my microphone down and go out here and make sure that that's turned down a little more. I'll be right back. Y'all keep working, okay? Okay, sorry guys. I'm back. Gives Miss Carol says gives us extra practice. You know, I'm so used to doing the flying geese and the fast flying geese pattern, or even with the almost all of a sudden I can't think of her name. Ooh, Brenda Hennings. No, that's not right. Brenda, Barbara. Anyway, the lady that does the triangulations, I love her triangulations. And when I do fast flying geese, or if I have to do a bunch of flying geese, and or not even flying geese, the half square triangles, I tend to use hers because it's so easy. But I think when I did this, I didn't know about that. But I don't think it would have worked anyways because of the specificity on what we need. Hers is done in like mass. Like if you need like 120 half square triangles or flying geese or whatever, you know, it's meant for that kind of thing, not for just a couple here and a couple there. All right, so let's get back over here. And how's everybody? Yeah, Brenda Hennings. Thank you. I guess I was kind of close. It sounded right and that it didn't sound right. It sounded right and it didn't sound right. But yeah, I do love her triangulations. Triangulations and the flying geese. She has a really good flying geese one too. I've used it several times. I actually tried to look into seeing if she'd let me do it wholesale, so that I could put a link on my page. But I have yet to hear from her. I mean, I assume that she does pretty well on her own, so she probably doesn't need a whole lot of us helping her out. You know, I got a project coming up that I was working on, and I've been using my AccuQuilt, and I was looking at one of my dies, one of the strip dies, and I noticed that it has a 30-degree angle on it, 45-degree angle, and a 60-degree angle on the cut. And I do remember they did a demonstration once where they showed you how you could do your binding, the 1/4 inch or the 45-degree angle for your binding. And it was really cool because it was like almost like an epiphany moment. When I looked at that and saw that on there, I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot you could do that. You can do that with the AccuQuilt, and depending upon which mat you use, you know, you could make all kinds of cool cuts. I might even do a video for that and put it on my YouTube, which I'll send you a link to it. Anytime I do one, I'll try to make sure I send everybody a link. And you can watch it or not, you don't have to. Just remember that when you do watch the video links, to make sure you like them, make sure you do the thumbs up on them. That always helps. And then if you want to share it, please feel free to share it. It's public, and the more times it gets out there and gets viewed, the better it is for me. Especially if one day I want to be able to actually make money off of this. Maggie says, Miss Margaret says, I have used triangulations for geese as well. They come out perfect. They do. They really do. And I don't worry about that, you know, the puffiness or the bowing, because a lot of times what I get is the bowing. I'll get bowing out here and sometimes up here, and sometimes I'll even get it down there. And a lot of times I find it's because of the way I iron. I'm kind of rough with an iron. And that's why I like to fold over, kind of do it the way one of my favorite designers does it, Miss Jordan from Jordan Fabrics. When she does it, she finger presses, and I just don't have the nails for it. She makes it look so easy. I guess she's done it so much, but that's the way I do it. It works for me. I say whatever works for each person, go for it. But don't forget to try, other ways to do it, because sometimes you find out that, maybe this way works better. And sometimes, oops, I did not mean to do that with that on there. Oops. Well, it's already been done, so we ain't going to worry about it. So, for Thanksgiving, what was your favorite part? What food do you usually do for Thanksgiving that is your favorite part of Thanksgiving? Yeah, I did notice that too. She uses her nail a lot of the time, and not, or her finger and not her nail. Isn't that what she said? Yeah, instead of her nail. Yep. Yep, I did notice that. But I'll be honest, my fingers were already so tore up from all the fabric I've been handling. And I'll tell you what, my dishwasher went out. So we've been hand washing dishes, and my hands are just completely messed up from that. I really, really need, if I have to keep doing dishes with by hand, I really need to get a pair of dishwashing gloves, because my hands are a mess. And sweet potato casserole, that is one of my favorites. I will agree with that. Although it is not my absolute favorite. Oh, Miss Laura, I'm so sorry. Miss Laura, you're referring to the fact that you did all four of them, all four of the triangles. Again, I so apologize for that. You did say you were my testers, though. Dawn is the worst for hands. I believe it. I mean, that's a grease cutter, so imagine what it's doing to your fingers. All right, so again, we're going to line this up with our 1 and the 3/4 of an inch right down that, right there in that V. Everybody following that? We're going to use that as our guide. And then we're going to butt right up to 2 inches. And that should be your guide. And there shouldn't be much. I had a lot yesterday. That's why I think maybe I messed up my, I think this pile wasn't the only one I did at 4.5 instead of 4 1/4. So even I messed it up, y'all. It's been, I'll be honest, it has been so long since I've done this pattern. I mean, Sheila and I did this pattern 2 years ago. Was it even 2? Maybe it was 3 years ago. Started to, yeah. Yeah. Y'all are troopers. That's all I got to say. Y'all are troopers. And I appreciate you guys so much. And we're just trimming it. Kind of wish I'd put my SRQ somewhere else. But I should be able to go from the 3.5 here to the 2 down here at the end. And if you notice, those points should be lining up perfectly. Perfectly. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that gorgeous? And then you should still have your 1/4 of an inch from here to here. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Okay. I'll stop drooling over that. Because, y'all, when I get it right, oh, I just want to jump up and down and shout, yoo-hoo! I got it. Okay. I'll stop playing around. Again, we got that 1 1/4 inch right here at the V, and we're matching up down here at the 2. Homemade cranberry sauce. You guys. Oh my gosh, I have got to tell you. So probably about, I want to say 6 months ago, probably shouldn't do this freehand there. You should always use a ruler. About 6 months ago, I signed up for Pampered Chef, their monthly subscription, and I don't actually like doing subscriptions, but I did. Monthly subscription of recipes and spices. Now, I'd never heard of it before, but I thought, if it spices up how we can do dinner, I'm all for it. And it didn't seem like a lot of money, so I went ahead and signed up for it. And I got this recipe for one of the recipes that came with it was a rosemary herb seasoning. Rosemary herb. Actually, I'm coming just a little too far in one direction over here, so we're going to back it over. Okay. This rosemary herb dressing or seasoning, and it was geared towards Thanksgiving because there were several different things, and I used it for a cranberry recipe they had listed, and I had never done homemade cranberry, and it was so good, y'all. I mean, wow. It just absolutely floored me. I do not like homemade cranberry sauce. I think it's kind of gross. Maybe it's just because of the berries. I'm not crazy about cranberries. But this recipe was just so off the hook. And it uses that rosemary seasoning that came with it. And then I also had somewhere I picked up a roasted garlic dip mix that I used kind of as a snack before we ate and after we ate. Oh man, it was a hit. Let's see, what is the trim measurements for the geese? It is a 3.5, here, let's put it up here. So 3.5 by 2. So 2 inches by 3.5 inches. That's how big you want it. Okay? So 3.5 by 2. 3.5 by 2. Or 2 by 3.5. 2 by 3.5. I keep saying it because I worry, when I went back and listened to the video the last time as I was trimming it and trying to put in for all my mistakes, I realized there was a couple of things I misspoke about the whole thing, and I can't believe I didn't even catch myself when I said it. Like one time I said 3.5 and it should have been 13.5. I was like, oh, I can't believe I did that. So I'm catching little things I'm doing here and there. Hopefully you guys understand me. Going to have to watch later have a machine malfunction. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I hate when that happens. I do hate when that happens. There's the 1 1/4 inch right there. We're going to put it right there at the V. Make sure that it lines up to the 2 inches at the bottom down here. I hope y'all can see it okay. Flip it around. Let's get that. Maybe I move that out of the way just a little bit more. And then we're going to come out here to 3.5 inches to the 2 inches and just make sure it all lines up nicely, all purdy. It actually almost, except for the dog ears, it almost works out perfectly. Almost. You're welcome, Miss Margaret. I apologize. It took me a few minutes before I saw your post, your query. We'll say the big word for the day is query. I'm going to trim that. Somehow I missed that little piece right there. Okay, so 2 by 3.5. Hang on, I'm going to go get my little... All of a sudden, I'm having a hard time with that. I don't know about y'all, but I have a little broom I use on my tabletop. It even comes with a little dustpan. These things are amazing. If you ever need one, sometimes I have them, but most of the time I just get mine from the dollar store, and I buy 2 or 3 of them every time because sometimes they don't have them, and I like to do them as giveaways because they're a godsend in the on your cutting table especially. So if you don't have one in your cutting room, I will say you need one. I will tell you that for sure. Looks a little crooked, but you know what? That edge lines up. Flip it around. Ah, so you're up to number 4, Miss Margaret. Excellent. Excellent. I have been getting some really good. I think somebody sent me one yesterday, but I haven't had a chance to get it up yet just because, like I said, I've been with my son this weekend. And just really, really enjoying the time I got to spend with him. Yeah, that looks good. I'm not going to lie, today it's going to be probably like it was last time. Probably we're going to spend about 2 hours on this block today. But this will give you a chance. You know, I could have done all these ahead of time, but I really didn't want to get ahead of you and then start talking and starting on the next thing until you got this one done. But I did consider, you know, the thought that maybe you could go back later and finish these, but I'd rather just go ahead and get them done. Okay. Oh, and that is it. Whoop, whoop. All right, let's get some of the trash off of the table. And I have my little scrappy bin right behind me here. Let's toss it right in there. All righty. All right, y'all, you ready for the next one? Here's the next one. You need to decide what color you would like them to go first. So I'm going to take all my ones with my labels on them. And I actually don't remember how I did it. Okay. So you kind of look at it and decide if you like what you see. Because you need 2 rows. Okay? Let me see. There's some green, red. Yeah, that's kind of how I did it. I was looking at my other one, and I think maybe there's a little separation in here. So kind of going from light to dark to light, that kind of looks cool, doesn't it, right? All right, so then you're going to line the other side up exactly the same. If you like what you got there, and please do it your way. Do whatever way you like it. Maybe there's something else you see or another way you want to put it together. Do it however you like it. This is one of those ones where you can take a little bit of liberty with. Well, you can take a little liberty with all of them, but all right. So the gist is we're going to take these and fold it over and stitch it together and use that 1/4 inch seam. And we're going to go ahead and do, hang on. We're going to do both of them at the same time. Okay? Now, if you want to stay true to what we're trying to accomplish here, you could go ahead and put all 3 sets together. But if it's going to be too much for you, if it's going to, because sometimes when you start to split them up, you mess up the thought in your head. M, N, no. Either that's a no, or oh no, more stuff, or, and if you put the pin in where you're putting your edges together, then you know that's what side you have to stitch on. And again, that 1/4 inch seam is important, so make sure you got it right. Not perfect, just get it right. Okay, let's flip that down there. I'm going to move this up just a little bit higher. And again, we're working with all 6 of the colors. I'm still trimming. Take your time, Miss Laura. Take your time. How's everybody else doing? Is everybody else still trimming as well? And you don't want to rush through this. There's no big hurry. I mean, other than, you know, we can be on as long as you want to be. Me too, Laura. Yes, Miss Sally. Well, Miss Sally had the misfortune, and Miss Laura, of doing too many of them, which was my fault. I apologize. But thank you for knowing. Now that I know that I need to put in there, you know, make sure I put into those directions on the color D, E, F, H, I, and J, that you only need 2 of the triangles that are cut from the 4. So I'll give you just a quick second. That'll give me an opportunity to take care of my nose. Oh, y'all, I'm sorry. I apologize that it seems to be taking so long. If I knew how to trim these down so we could take less time, but I want to make sure I'm here for you. Absolutely, practice makes perfect. Miss Sally says practice makes perfect, and it's true. And the better we get at this, you know, the faster we'll make it through here. And we know we're doing some things we haven't done before. I mean, I don't know about you, but I did my flying geese like this in the very beginning of my quilting time, but they were a mess. They were a hot mess. But I'm better at it now. I understand measurements now. I understand seam allowances better now. So, you know, what we're doing here is we're just re-practicing how to make this work. Here, since you guys are still working on this, I'll turn on the screen. So, with what we're doing here, we are taking something that we've already learned and we're just practicing it more, or we're learning it a new way, or we're giving it pinned all of them. Okay, perfect. And remember, where we're pinning them right here is where we're going to sew, and that's going to be a 1/4 inch seam. And you should See if I can get close enough. Y'all. Trying to work with this is a little hard. All right, so when we stitch across, we should come right across the tip of that, which is going to give us that nice point. You know, we're always striving for a good point. And this gives you an opportunity to keep practicing to get that point better and better. We don't have to be perfect. There's nothing that says we have to be perfect. And I have finished many a quilt where my points weren't that great, or my seams weren't exactly 1/4 of an inch. Where I've had to, you know, fudge or, you know, ease in a little bit of seam here or a little bit of seam there. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's all part of the charm of the quilt. We work really hard to make these beautiful. And when you step back and you look at it, can't sew, no problem, Miss Claudine. You do it whenever it's convenient for you, okay? Your audio is fading in and out, and it could just be because I'm moving my head a lot. Being my microphone is over here, if I turn my head this way, then it makes it go further away. Or at least, if that's not it, oh, wait, hang on. Let me check my battery. No, my battery's still good. I don't know why it would be fading in and out, other than I just keep moving my head. Short freezing. Let's see, let's put it over here in my pocket. Put it on my pocket. I don't know if that'll help. But if I don't hurry up, move my arm, I'm going to wind up getting cramp in my back. Sorry, y'all. Okay. Good for me. Short freezing. Okay. All right. Miss Sheila, you may need to go out and come back in again because it may not be, possibly might not be me. Might be. Is anybody else experiencing any kind of freezing or whatever? If you're experiencing any phasing or freezing or fading in and out, you know, let me know so I know it's not Miss Sheila. If it's Miss Sheila, should be able to go out and come back in again, and that should help her with that. Oftentimes, especially if you've been on for a while, sometimes I like to think maybe your connection is saying, listen, you've been on here for a while, what's the deal? Although, you know, we do spend a lot of time on our internets these days. I know I don't go out nearly as much as I used to. When I say go out, I mean just go out for the casual run to the grocery store. I try to make it all in one trip if I can. Oh, this is my horrible attempt at dye sublimation. Isn't that terrible? Isn't that awful? So I wound up keeping it for myself. I'm still working at it. I can't quite figure it out. I've got the right paper. At least I think I've got the right paper. I got the right dyes. I've got the machine to heat press it, and still can't quite get it right. And I don't know if it's the paper, the machine, or me, or if I do it too long or too short. I wish there was a class. I mean, an actual place, a physical place where I can go and take my stuff and try it out. But I don't know. As far as I know, nobody actually gives an in-person class. Maybe I'll talk to Michaels about that or something. I don't know. All right, so we're going to go ahead and keep moving. Going out, baby girl needs to go out. Okay, yeah, go ahead and shut it down. Go out and come back in, and we'll see you when you get back from walking the baby. If you feel like coming back on, like I said, these will be up so you can come back in anytime. All right, so let's go ahead and start sewing. I'm not sure where you're at this current time, Miss Laura, but you can either have them all laid out, or you can just do one or two at a time, or just one at a time. I've got all of mine pinned together in the direction that I'm sewing, and hopefully that will work. So we're going to come over here and start sewing together a 1/4 inch seam. And again, make sure you stay on your 1/4 inch seam. We're going to pull this first one as soon as we get through it to the end, just to check that point and see how we did. Pull that out, snip it off. And I don't know if you noticed this, but I keep my little eyebrow razor handy. I love these things. I get them from the dollar store. Here, let me pull it down here so you can see it. I get these from the dollar store. Now, don't get me wrong, I do have to be careful when I use them, but I've kind of got it down to a science, I think, where I don't actually rip my fabric. But if you're not careful, you can rip your fabric. So you definitely want to practice on it a little bit. But I love these things, and I keep them handy just so I can rip my seams if I mess it up. Okay, so if we open it up and we look at there, we got a point. Yay! So our points look good. All right, so let's go ahead and finish up those others. We're going to put that right there. And we're going to chain piece. And again, I'm going to just, before I start, I want to make sure that it stayed lined up with where it's supposed to be. Okay. Looks good. I see my needle going right over that point. Grab the next one. Make sure it's lined up. Remember, no matter what time it is, and if we're way past the block that you're done with, make sure you submit it to me either through text or email. Try not to send it through Facebook Messenger because I can't copy it from Messenger for whatever reason. I mean, I always thought I could, but for some reason it doesn't let me. So make sure you text it to me or email it to me so I can put it on the Facebook page. When I started my SRQ page, I didn't realize that there was a difference between a page and a group. I just did what they had out there and found out later that, other people can't post to my page because it's a page and not a group. And this is public. I want other people to be able to see it as well. All right, that should be all of it. Can you back up and show the pinning again? Yeah. Here, let me get one of these apart here. Now, I assume you're talking about the pinning of the two flying geese together. Oh, here, let me come over here. Okay, so I'm going to just real quick here take this apart, and don't worry about it. When you're crossing over another seam, that's also one you have to be careful about because you might actually take out the other seam and the fabric. Okay, so when you have them laying out and they're pointing up in their direction like this, okay, we're going to take it and we're going to just flip it up. Now we've got all these others that were down here as well. This one and this one. And when you iron it, just iron it to whichever direction you're most comfortable with. I usually iron it with the seam going underneath the top geese, just because there's more fabric here than there is there. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take it and we're going to flip it up this way and pin right here because this is the edge we're going to sew. Okay? Here, make sure I get into the frame. Since I dropped it down, the frame is a lot smaller and I just need to make sure I'm in there. All right, so we're going to go and flip it this way and pin right here. So before you pick it up, make sure you know what part you're actually going to sew. And don't move it around too much. That's the easiest way to get messed up. And then pin it in the corner or wherever, but I pin it in the corner just because I know that's where I want my needle to go. Okay? And then we're going to take it over here to the sewing machine. Use that 1/4 of an inch. And again, we're watching to make sure it's going to land in the right spot. And I keep looking. I want to make sure that it stays together. But if you have to pull it too much one way or the other, then you're going to create that bow as well. You know, where the fabric bows in. And voila! And I should have taken the other thread out, but that's okay. I'm not worried about it. Okay. All right, so the next step that we're going to do is we're going to iron these flat and then we're going to sew them again. Miss Sally, did that help? Did that help explain it for you? Do-do-do. Let's see. And again, I've got that seam flipped over towards the underside of that flying geese. Perfect, Miss Sally. I'm glad. I am so glad. Try to think. Keep trying not to wiggle it around, but I'm terrible at that. Okay, and let's do the other 3. I'm going to go ahead and take these off because we really don't need these anymore. I just get it down in there, didn't I? Yeah, my 2 favorites, probably 2 favorites, well, 3. I have 3 ladies I love to watch. One of them is Miss Jenny Doan. And especially ever since she started the triple play, I just think it's so neat to see 3 different ways that they do the same block or a block of a similar type. I really enjoy that. So if you don't get a chance to watch that, make sure you subscribe or watch the Missouri Star Quilts when they do their triple play, because it's just really neat when you watch how they do that. All right, so we're going to line those back up again. So that we make sure they're all going the same direction. Okay? And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pin them all together and then stitch them all. Actually, we only need to do 2 of them right now, because we'll have to come back and do the others in a minute. Now what I'm looking for now is to make sure that they kind of line up down here as well. If they line up in the center, then I know my blocks are pretty well right on. And I'm going to pin that right there. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to line it up down here. And then I'm going to look right there and see how it lines up. Okay. And we're going to take them over to the sewing machine and get them stitched up. Okay, and snip and snip. Take a look and see how that's turning out. Look at that, isn't that cute? I love the colors. Just so bright and vibrant. Okay, come on over here. We're going to do the same thing we just did. We're going to give it a shot of heat. And you should be noticing that you should be getting about 1/4 of an inch from tip to tip. This one looks a little bit shy on this side, but it'll be okay. It's not going to create any great injustice in there. Okay, shot of heat, and then we're going to do the next one. Nice fine. Aren't they pretty? I love the colors. And listen, this ain't nothing but practice. And I'll be honest, it was practice because of what I had to do the block before. Because I definitely ran into a couple of glitches on my end. But I didn't notice the ones where I missed the telling me how many to put in there. I guess because I had the original block in front of me so I could tell what I needed. Again, it's kind of like proofreading, you know. That's why you guys are so amazing. Okay, so once we finish this piece, we're going to go on to the next section. And because we've done this, the next section should be a little bit easier. At least I like to think so. Okay. Okay, I'm just rechecking my seam to make sure they line up. I wanted to slip a little bit when I was moving it over, so I want to make sure it's on there right. Same thing over here. Just want to make, and I don't want to pull on it too much either. I just want to make sure it's in the right place. Okay, looks good. One of the things I noticed last night is if you pull too much when you're ironing some of these, you will distort it. And that's why it's important to make sure that when you're ironing it, that you're just pressing and not stretching. Okay. I'm going to trim that apart and then check it. And now that I patted myself on the back for my flying geese, let's hope I didn't mess it up. All right, there we go. Not bad. Not bad. I salvaged my points. All right, let's come over here. We're going to give it another press and then move it out of the way because we have a whole nother section to do. And feel free, stick with me as long as you can. I understand if you have to go for some reason. This video is going to get long. I'm hoping not 3 hours. I kind of was hoping it was only going to be about 2. And our next section, the very last section, will be a very fast one. But this next section does have to do with some more flying geese type of stuff. See, I'm going to try and do it with the thing in my hand, and I'm going to mess it up. Just put and press. Ooh, Miss Sandy, welcome. Thank you. You know, that's high praise coming from you, Miss Sandy, because you're my hero too. I love your work. I love your quilts. All right, so these are 2 sides of the project that we're working on right now, and we're going to take them and we are going to set them aside, and we're going to work on the next one. So now what you need, the very first thing now you remember earlier I talked about how we're going to make a little adjustment. We're going to do the adjustment right now. Take your sheet out, the one that has your directions on it, and you're going to go to the one that says the color C, that should be at the top of the page on the right side. Color C from 1.5 strip, cut 1.5 by 1.5. I'm sorry, 2.5 by 2.5. Bah, you guys, what is wrong with my tongue? I can't say anything right. Okay, from color C, cut a 2.5 strip, then cut 2.5 by 2.5. All right, so that's what we have here. C, which is my light purple, and yes, this is my salvage. I'm not worried about it. I didn't care. So we're going to take our C. Now, here's where we're going to make an adjustment. We're going to change this from a 2.5 by 2.5 to a 2.25 by a 2.25. Okay? Because when I did the block, I realized that I struggled with it because the size was just a little bit too big. Okay, so make sure you mark on there, mark out 2.5 by 2.5 and put 2.25. Okay, get that, and we're gonna cut it down. All right, everybody got that? 2.25 by 2.25. The very next thing you're going to do is you're going to cut it on the diagonal. And that's another thing. You want to write your directions that you're going to cut it once on the diagonal. 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 Okay. And you only need one. So we have our one piece, and that's all we need is one piece. Okay? Okay. Everybody following me so far? So far? So far? Okay, I'm getting a little slap happy here. Sorry, y'all. You know, I listen to some of these people on there. Like, I have one lady, she calls herself Bethadilly, and she does a cricket thing where she does a bunch of decorations on Cricut. I love watching her. And she has such a pretty voice. It's very soothing. She has a very soothing, very pretty voice. And so I like listening to her while she's working. And I like watching the videos. I mean, it's just very, very, very well made videos. I mean, just very well, very clean, very pristine. Anyways, she just has a very nice voice. And then I listen to myself on there. And I know I'm my own worst critic. I get it. But I think to myself, oh my gosh, you guys, I have like not a grating voice, but it's not soothing. And I wish I could find a balance in there to use more of a soothing voice, you know, a nice smooth voice. But you know what, it is what it is. God gave me what he gave me. All right. Now I need to take a look at the block real quick. Okay, so we have one piece, and you're going to take out 3 of these. You need 3 of these, okay? And that will be all you'll need. I need to see. Yeah, just like that. All right, so before we were taking the long side here, I need something you can see here. Yeah, this green, this will work. Okay. Guess it's hard to see against purple is not an easy one to see. Okay, where did the black come from? You should have 3, because remember, we had to cut 14, 2.5, 14. Yeah, 2.5 14 by 14s. And we only needed 12 of those 14. Okay, so that should have left you with 2 extra pieces that you cut diagonally. Okay, so remember down here under color K, 2.5 strip cut 14, 2.5 by 2.5. Okay, that's going to give you 28 of these triangles. You used 24 of them on your flying geese. Yeah, you're going to have to, if you've sewed them onto something, you need to take them off or cut an extra one. Because I know I always have a little bit of 2.5 inch fabric squares left over. Okay. Now, as far as this goes, this is the last, hopefully the last surprise you'll have. Oh, wait a second. Poor Laura, she's like, what? What? Yes, you need 3 of these. So if you have them stitched down to something else, go ahead and take a minute and unsew them, or cut some from leftover 2.5 inch strip. You probably have a little bit of leftover. I know I've been using a lot of leftovers from the previous time it was put together. I had from some of the half yard fabrics, which got screwed up. I know, I'm sorry. Hey Miss Sheila. So we are up to this is one of the corners, and we're working on the 2.5 by 2.5 that we cut from color C, but we changed it to a 2.25 by 2.25 and then cut it on the diagonal. I'm kind of glad I didn't tell you, or it wasn't in there first, because we would have had to trim down the 2.5 because it's just a smidge too big for what we have to do. So one of the changes that we're making is the top right of your page that has your cutting instructions. It says color C from 2.5-inch strip, cut 1 2.5 by 2.5. We're actually going to cut 1 2.25 by 2.25, and then we're going to cut it diagonally, which is not on the instructions. The cut diagonally is not on there. So I've got that on there to change and put in there. It just hasn't added. And I changed it from 2.5 to 2.25. Just because from when I was working on it, I realized it needed to be a little bit smaller. Hang on. I'm sorry. Okay. I had to rip it out. Thank you, Carol. I apologize. I knew it. I had to at least do it once. Okay. So when I put it together, when we put it down here in the corner, it doesn't create here, let me show you. Here's what happened. Let me show you what happened, especially since you couldn't see it, since I forgot to turn the camera on. Da-da-da-da. No surprise there. It has to happen at least once. Okay, so when we flip it open, we've got the black all the way down here, and we need it to be up higher. So here's what we needed to do. We needed to move this up to right here, so that when you start your 1/4 inch, it starts on the black in that very corner. Are you following me? You can look, you can use your ruler as well. Let me see if I can get it over here where you can see it. Okay, so here's the purple. See where that 1/4 inch is right there? We want to make sure the black starts at the 1/4 inch seam. Does this make sense? Can everybody see it okay? I don't know if even that green is any better with that purple, so let me try putting it on a piece of white. See if that's any better. Okay, so there's our purple right there. We're going to put the black so that it starts. When you start stitching, it starts at the 1/4 inch. Now I've got this thing that shows me a 1/4 inch. I don't know if you can see it, but if you lay it up there, you see where it's going to start stitching, and that's perfect. That's where you want it to start stitching. Yes, it needs a dog ear. Thank you, Miss Sheila. Yes, that's exactly it. It needs a dog ear. So yours should look just like mine right now. See, I knew there was something about that was wrong. When I was doing it, I thought, that's too easy. That's too easy. I've done something wrong here. Okay, so let's put a pin in it, because we're going to start stitching right here. Flip it over. Hang on. Flip it over. And that's what it looks like on the back. You've got lots up here, and that's okay. Leave that up here. We're going to need that. But that's where you want your dog ear, is right there. Okay? Okay, let's go ahead and stitch it down. I'm going to run over my needles, which I shouldn't, but I will, because I just don't want to take it out. And I think it's because I have completely ripped apart the seams and made that little edge a little weak, so I'm going to follow it in. Okay. And there's our line, and it comes right off here at the edge, and this is where we need to be. And if that's not it, I am going to be chewing my words today. Okay. All right. That is much better. Okay, here's what we're looking for. It starts here, which is at the very bottom, and it goes to here. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing to the other side. You're going to find the 1/4 inch. And again, if you have one of these things, that's great. If you don't, use your ruler. We're going to butt that right up against there. Okay. Go all the way to the edge. Actually, we need to iron that. Hang on. We need to iron that. Otherwise, it's going to pop up on us. Even though I finger pressed it, we still need to iron it. So we need it to stay in one spot. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, let's try that one more time. See if I can get some of these threads out of the way. Here we go. Okay. 1/4 inch. And again, you can use your ruler. You don't have to use one of these things, but I bought one and I never use it, so this is actually perfect. I'm going to put that right there. I can check it with my, oh, that's not very far at all. There, that's better. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so now we know where we want it to start. Let's get a couple pins in there so it doesn't move around on us. Okay, and we're ready to take it over to the machine. Oh, I'm so sorry, Miss Laura. What do I need to do? What do I need to do to help you? Oh, hang on. Here I am trying to show you how to do it. Okay. So the one side is over here. We need a dog ear right there. We need a 1/4 inch of a dog ear, like we normally have hanging over the edge. And then we're just going to stitch it right on up. I'll figure it out, I guess. Well, that's okay. If I can help, let me help. I want to make sure I'm explaining it best I can. If anybody can help her understand this better than I'm explaining it, please feel free to jump in. I will not be offended. But we got a little dog ear right here. So we want to start the tip of the black. If you lay them together face to face like this, so that it looks just like you see it here. And you will have a little bit of a dog ear right there. So basically you're going to take your tip and it's going to go right there. See that? Take your tip of your K, your background, and it's going to go right here and make a dog ear. Okay? We're going to lay it down, and then we're going to stitch it all the way down 1/4 inch until it comes out. When you do your 1/4 inch and come off here, you're going to be left with that dog ear right there. Yes, short edge of the black. Yes. Use the tip. The tip of the pyramid. Tip of the pyramid. And it goes over in the side of the other pyramid. Okay? And then it's going to come off the top of the other pyramid, way up off, and that's good because we need that. Okay? Once we get that piece sewn down, then we're going to do it again on the other side. Here, let me flip that back out of the way. I ironed it. I did iron it, I promise. Okay, same thing. We're going to take the tip of the pyramid and we're going to put it over here. In fact, I could draw my 1/4 inch. You know what? Let me get my glasses on. I can see better if I put my glasses on, but I don't usually remember to put them on. Okay, so according to my little tool there, it tells me that that's a 1/4 inch. And according to this, it says it's not quite there yet. And it's okay if you draw on this because this is going to wind up in the seam or cut off completely, so it doesn't matter. Okay. So again, take the tip, put it down here on that line, create a dog ear, doggy ear, and then pin it in place. Make sure it lines up and pin it in place. Now the other ones we used the long edge, but this one is different. This one we're using that other edge. Basically we're going to create a piece that folds open like this and creates a long piece, okay? Now let's go over here and stitch it down. Now if you look, this is that short edge of the pyramid. There's the tip of the pyramid on the side of the bottom one. And we started at the 1/4 inch and we ended at a 1/4 inch. And as you can see, we have both that line up perfectly right where they're supposed to start and stop. Y'all, I don't usually have this many 1/4 inches that actually start out right. So sometimes I need to pat myself on the back, and then this occasion I think I'll hold off for right now. Okay, and then we're going to iron that in place. Wow, I keep getting all my little trash pieces up here. Okay. Y'all, we're almost there. We are so close. We are so close. Okay. When you're done, you should almost look like you have a bat. Doesn't that look like a bat? Or a pair of sunglasses? A bat or sunglasses? So what do you think? You got that on there yet? Believe it or not, guys, we are almost done with this section. We have like 2 more pieces to do and then we're done. That's right. Yes. Yeah, I think it looks like a bat too. You're right, Miss Margaret. We are creating a triangle inside of a triangle. You say fussy thing to do. I'm like, you get the hang of it. You do it enough. And trust me, the second sample I did, which I did earlier in the week, I think before my son got here. Maybe not. Maybe it was after he got here. The first one I did, I ripped it out 3 times because that inside triangle just didn't want to fit the way it should have fit, and so I was messing with it a lot. I was definitely fussing it. I'm just going to trim off my dog ears here because they're disturbing me. Although I like the bat look. I do like the bat look. Okay. Get my little dog ears out of the way. All right. So now we're down to sunglasses. Okay. Now we're going to take the last piece. Are you caught up enough, Miss Laura? Okay. I hope you are, sweetie. You just let me know. Listen, I know some of these seem like they can be really disturbing. And if you saw the block, it would make perfect sense. But I really want you to do this without seeing the block first. Okay. The very next thing we're going to do is we're going to add this piece right here. Last piece. And basically you're going to line it up right here to this one, to this one. And you're just going to make sure that both sides hang over the same amount. And you can use the triangle at the bottom to line it up, but it doesn't matter. We're going to be trimming some of it off anyways at some point. Yeah, that looks good. And I'm going to grab a pin. Got a pin right here. Okay. So we're going to flip it over so you can see the back of it. Okay. And then we're going to go over and stitch it down. Everybody okay? Everybody caught up? Did you make the second one of the same? No, we are not using the other triangle. We are only using one. Only one triangle. If you're asking, here's the other triangle over here. We're not using this one. Is that it, Miss Carol? Is that what you're asking? We're only using this one. Now we are going to move on to the other triangle, the other C triangle, and we're going to get to that in a minute, okay? But let's go ahead and finish this section first. Okay, yeah, nope, toss it away. Ah, see, you don't need it. Flip it, flop it, get it out of there, throw it in your scrap, throw it in with your, I throw everything in my leftovers because you never know when you can use another one. So just flip it into your extras. You are not going to use it tonight, okay? Now, let's go over here. Oh, gosh, sorry. I did it again, didn't I? Okay. So here's that extra triangle right here. Just toss it away, okay? And this is where we're at right now. Okay. I wasn't sure how long I had that camera off. I wasn't sure how long I turned it on or off. I'm going cuckoo. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Okay. So we're ready to go ahead and start stitching this one. Let's go ahead and turn this off. And we're going to go over here. 1/4 inch. Let the feet take it because this is on a bias and you're going to find it'll stretch if you're not careful, okay? So make sure you're doing it on the bias. I mean, doing it without stretching the bias. Okay? And that's what it's going to look like. Okay? Let's bring it back over here and turn the camera back on. Okay, and give it a quick iron. Okay. Now, our next piece. Let's see, 3.5. Yeah, okay. All right, for our next one, you're going to grab your C, color C, and it said cut C, color C. This is the next one down from the one we just did. Color C from 4-inch strip, cut 1 4-inch by 4-inch. Basically, I cut a 4-inch by 4-inch piece from the from a piece of fabric. I didn't cut a strip. I just cut one little piece out of it. No biggie. All right, now where's my, there we go. And we're going to cut that 4-inch piece on the diagonal. You have one here, one here. You only need one piece. Again, put this one in the pile. This is the one you're going to use. And you're going to put it right here. Craig just brought dinner. Ooh, yummy. Chicken Parmesan. Oh, that sounds so good. Ah, yummy. Okay. If you have to go to eat dinner, go ahead. Or if you want to leave it on, go ahead. Works for me either way. We're going to, ooh, you know what? Let me use the part that doesn't have that on there. Pretty much what I did is I just lined up the two edges. And then made sure they were within the center. Paying attention to where my 1/4 inch is. Pin it. Okay. Are we following so far? All right, so now we're going to take it over and we're going to stitch it down. Oh, see, that is the danger. Just want to guide it in, go slow. Don't try to push it in there. Don't try to pull it. Don't try to make it do something it doesn't want to do, because the feed dogs will definitely make your life miserable. Now I can tell already that I am way down there past my seam allowance. And I probably should trim that down. And I don't have a lot of play. Okay, we're going to leave it like it is, because this is one time I'm not going to mess with it, because if we try to trim it now, if we try to adjust it now, it is going to not make this square big enough, because this square needs to wind up being 3.5 by 3.5. Okay, let's iron that down. Okay. Now, find your ruler, whatever you need. Here's what I did. I used the line to follow here to make sure it stayed right on the money. In fact, I'm going to come up just a little bit further, so it's going to come over on this edge, which is exactly what I want. Half an inch, yep, perfect. Okay, here's what I'm going to show you I'm looking at. I'm looking right here. This is my ½ inch mark. I'm sorry, my ½ inch mark right here. And here, over here is my ½ inch mark. So I want to make sure that this is a ½ inch away. So I'm going to go ahead and trim here and here. Now, if something happens to you screw it up, you actually do have an extra purple for here and here, but then you'd have to cut some more of these. Okay, and then we're going to take that, line it right up in the corner again. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be perfect. Lovely, lovely. Okay, so what I'm looking at is I have my 1, 2, 3.5, 1, 2, 3.5, and my tip here and here is a ½ inch away from both edges, which is what we're aiming for. Oh, I really love my Quilters Select rulers. They don't slide around, and I haven't sprayed these down lately with that spray that keeps things from sliding. All of a sudden I can't think of the name of it. Isn't that funny? Which I love that stuff. I sold a lot of it. Okay, now you have a 3.5 inch wide, and you're going to pick one of your colors. Just take one, and we're going to add it up here at the top. Doesn't matter which one, because it'll go on either way. Okay, so if you're looking, you're going to find your point, and you're going to add it, this, yes, the big triangle is going to go up against here. Okay, three and a half by 3.5. This square is 3.5 by 3.5, which is also, this width of this is 3.5. Okay, so we're going to take it, we're going to flip it over, match up our edges, pin it down, You can use more than one pin if you need to or if you want to. And we're going to stitch it. Now guys, as soon as we get this done, we are down to the last leg. Oop, hear me run that thing over? Shh, don't tell anybody. And that's that for that one. Okay, so that was section 2. That was the big old section 2. All right, so on the on your sheet where it said color C, 4-inch strip, cut 1 4x4, it does not say cut on the diagonal. And so what I want you to do is just put on here cut on diagonal. And I don't know, I know there's an I in there somewhere because that definitely doesn't look right. Okay. How are we doing on time? Yeah, we're way over. But don't worry, because we are almost done, I swear. We can probably do this next section in about 15 minutes. And I can get you out of here by 6:30. All right. Gripper. Yeah, that's it. Grippy. Grippy. That's it. Okay, so this is what it should look like. Oh, sorry. Sorry, did it again. Okay, so this is what it should look like once you get it ironed down and all that parts sewn together. And this is what you want. Okay? All right, let's set it off to the side. All right, now you're going to grab, this is your background K. You're going to grab your teeny tiny piece of background K and your teeny tiny piece of number C, letter C. Okay? You're going to put either side together. It doesn't matter which one, because it is a square. It is a 2x2, I think, if I remember correctly. Yep, 2x2. It's a 2-inch by 2-inch square, and you're just going to put them right sides together and pin them down, and then sew them. Okay? Grippy, grippy. God, I love grippy. I had a whole bunch of, it came unsewn. Okay. All right, hang on. For whatever reason, mine came undone. So let me just take a quick second here. Oh, wrong one, sorry. There we go. Excuse me. Okay, now I think I'm ready. All right. I had a whole bunch of the templates that I bought, you know, the square and, you know, rulers, not templates, but rulers. And they had no kind of grip on the back of them. And you can buy all kinds of grip. You can buy little pieces that stick to it and things like that. But I didn't know all that stuff. I was still a newbie. And I used a lot of them. And I use them now more than ever. Okay. Oh, see, I did it again. I think it's as it gets closer to the end, I just start forgetting. Okay. Mine's been eating edges. Your rotary cutter, your ruler, or your sewing machine? See, to me that looks a little like it's turned a little bit, but it could just be me. Flip camera. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, now, you now have this together, and this piece should actually be 3.5 inches long, which it is. Ta-da! Your next piece, that's weird. I don't know, something didn't seem right. Okay, nope, we're good, we're good. Okay, so your next piece, you're going to take your C piece, your C, that will be your light purple, your 3.5 inch piece, and you're going to put it right there. Okay. You can put it on either side, but whichever side you go to, that's, you kind of remember, because you're going to keep going that direction, okay? Which you're not going to be able to anyways. Your machine, oh, not good. Not good at all. Okay, we're going to come over here and sew that edge down. Okay. All right. And then because my other seam is on the other side and it creates bulk, I'm not going to flip it to the dark side, but I am going to flip this one this way. And I'm going to press it with my wood iron. Okay. And then just give it a moment of heat. All right. Next, like I said, this part's going to go very quickly. Now you see where you have your little square right here? We're going to take the next color, which is your dark purple or your B. Yes. Thank you, Miss Sheila. I couldn't imagine why her machine would be doing that, but you're right. If you add a leader, just a little piece of fabric, and stitch onto it first, especially if you don't start right at the beginning of that piece of scrap, kind of come in a little bit and start stitching there till you get close to the end, and then you can butt your your actual fabric, what you need to do, butt it right up to it. Okay. All right. So this next piece, this 3.5 inch of your B fabric, oh bummer, that's not helping. You may need to change the throat plate to just a hole, but again, that can be dangerous, especially if you've had to move your needle one way or the other. Then it may not fit in the hole, it may hit the hole, and so that won't work either. Maybe the next time we're together we can take a look at your machine and see what's causing it to do that. And you know, one of them might be a needle. You may need to change your needle. If your needle gets dull, then it's going to, instead of piercing your fabric, it's going to push your fabric. And that's another one of those times that I think, you know, we don't think about that our needle might be causing, you know, the problem. Okay. So we're going to put that on this side where that first block is at. So let's go ahead and come on over to the machine, or yeah, come on over to the sewing machine. Try holding on to the leader as you start sewing the next piece, and change your needle. And we're just going to stitch right down 1/4 inch. Lovely, lovely. Okay. At this point, it should look a little something like this. Okay. Give it a shot of heat. I wish I could keep this iron just a little bit closer. I have to stretch for it. Okay. And then we're going to grab the next piece of B fabric, which is going to be 5 inches, I believe. No. C4B. Yeah, it is 5 inches. The next piece is going to be a 5-inch piece, and we're going to stick it on the other side, and we're going to keep going like this. I think they might even call that almost like a braid design. Line it up. And let's go on over to the machine and sew it together. Is everybody following along now? I mean, are we doing okay? Are we keeping up? I feel bad if we get too far ahead and you guys aren't able to keep up. Okay, I'm going to have to revert to a different. This one is new and it has that goat smell to it. Has the wet dog smell to it, especially if you have to spritz it. Okay. Now here's where we have the that shorter piece of the purple, and we're going to go with a light one. We're going to put another light piece. That's C, and you need section 6.5. You need a 6.5 inch piece. 6.5? No. C, 5 inch. 5 inch. This is the 5 inch piece. I apologize. I was going to say it didn't look like 6.5 inches. That was a lot smaller. And we're going to put that there, and we're going to pin it down. Now you can put it on either side, it would be okay, but I just like to kind of keep following along with that seam area. I like following along with that seam. Okay, let's go ahead and take it over to the machine and stitch it down. Miss Carol says, yes, we're keeping up. If for some reason you need me to slow down or you didn't understand something, you just let me know. Okay, we're doing good. Yeah, I can already smell that wet dog smell coming up from this new mat. Ooh. So I think this mat costs about $8. The smaller one, I think I paid around $4 or $5 for it. I don't remember. But I do like that little one because it comes in kind of handy. Okay. And then we're going to grab the last purple piece, which is C, and it's 6.5 inches. And if you noticed, you should be lining up perfectly. If your seams are exactly 1/4 of an inch, you should be lining up perfectly. And you guys are doing such a great job on those seams. I just want to congratulate you on the wonderful progress you've made. And the colors, the blocks I have seen have just been amazing. Just gorgeous and different colors and everything. I love it. So keep sending the blocks. I love seeing them. All right, so we're going to take this over and we're going to stitch it down. All right, one more set of colors and we've got this. And then we just have to put these last pieces together and we are done. Finito. Okay. All right. So you're going to grab your B color. Your B color is going to be the 6.5 inch. If you notice, it's like it always follows up with the same size but a different color. Okay, and we're going to flip this over and pin it down. And this is a batik, so it doesn't matter which side is which. Okay, let's take this over to the machine. looks good. Okay. Those batiks, man, they handle so well. I love working with batiks. Now they can rip pretty easy too. But for the most part, and I'm not dragging this iron across it, I'm kind of lifting it just enough so that I'm not putting any pressure on it except for when I place it down on the fabric. Because I don't want to drag it across and create an unruly seam. Okay, and then we're going to take the last purple, and it's going to go right here and this direction. I just want to make sure I have it on there straight. Yikes. Guess I grabbed one of my long needles, one of my long pins. Okay. Much easier when I don't have that mat up there. All right, let's go ahead and oop, accidentally turned off the wrong button. How did I do that? Okay, there we go. Alrighty. Quarter inch. Excellent. All right, I am going to lift that arm up because we are definitely, that block has definitely gotten bigger. Okay. All right, that's a little better. Okay. And by the way, those are purple, not blue. I know when I look at it on the screen, it actually looks, my screen looks blue, but my Facebook looks purple. How weird is that? Okay. I'm gonna iron that down. Ooh, you know what? You're gonna need that last piece, that last big triangle. Where did it go? Where did I throw it? No, there it is. You are gonna need this last piece, so hang on to it. I just remembered there's something else we have to do to it. All right, let's see here. Yep. Okay. So we're going to grab K, which is our background, and we need to add it on the same side where we started the others. If you start on this side, keep going on this side. All right. And then we're going to come over. Y'all, thank you for sticking with me. Again, you can watch this video anytime. I'll have it, once I get it trimmed, then I will make sure I get it loaded up. So you can watch it on Facebook anytime. It takes me almost most of the night to get it loaded up from ClickChamp or Clipchamp onto YouTube. So Facebook, it'll be up right away, but on ClickChamp or YouTube, it takes a little bit longer. All right, so let's get this up here. Okay, now that time I was wiggling it, sorry. Okay, Okay, let me get rid of these because they're actually just kind of getting in my way now. Okay. And get rid of that out of the way. Get that out of the way. And that out of the way. Okay. And then that last piece is going to go right here on the end. Just like we did with the purple and the light purple, or the C and the B. We need two or three pins. Pin this in place. Because the side has actually gotten quite long, so we want to make sure we get that on there. Okay. I'm missing all the fun. Yes, Miss Sue, where have you been? Don't worry, you can watch it again. But it's so nice to have you here with us. Thank you. Thank you for jumping on. Although I think I'm about ready to have a mutiny. Got a couple of goof ups that I think they're ready to string me up. All right. Nope, that's not big enough. I need my other one, which is buried underneath a lot of stuff. Okay, so we'll take this one instead. Okay. Camera coming up. Okay. Guys, we are almost there. We are almost there, I swear. We have one more little bit of a challenge, but it's an easy one. Where did my... Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. You're going to need a ruler, and preferably one that has the quarter. Any better? Okay. So if you can see right through here, I can see the tip of my, the tip of the green, the dark purple green. Jeez. I think my tongue's getting tired. Okay, so here's the tip of the dark purple. Here's the 45-degree line right there. Let's see. Wants to be a little bit wonky. My cut might not even be perfect. Okay, so there's the quarter of an inch right there. There's the 45-degree mark, and we would just trim it right off right there, and that's it. That's the easiest. That is the easiest way I've seen it so far. Ooh, you know what? So not a 30. Oops. Bring my Facebook back. Not a 30 degree, because a 30 degree would put you at 60. This is 30 degrees right here, and that would definitely not work. So it is definitely a 45-degree angle cut. So if you get that line across from down your side, get that angle across that side right there, and then line up your quarter of an inch from here to the edge. You're golden, okay? And then just trim it off. And then take your triangle, your leftover triangle, and line it up. Just like that. And again, you just want to make sure your dog ears look pretty even. We're going to pin it here. And pin it here. And then one right here. And then stitch it down. All right. Yeah, that was much easier using that 3-inch ruler. Again, that's on the bias, so let the feed dogs do all the work. Just guide it in. Okay. All right. right, once we have that stitched down, let's take a look at it. Oh, look at there. That looks so nice. What size should this part of the block be? This is cut from your 4 by 4 inch. This is that leftover piece. Now this part of the block should measure, let's take a look. Because we're going to add a 3.5 inch, 3.5 inch border on it. Add it to it. All right, let's get that trimmed. So according to this, you should be at 9.5 inches. So this is going to be 9.5 inches. We're going to add another 3.5 inches to it, which should turn out to be 12.5 inches. All right, last section. We are almost there, guys. Let's see. You're going to take your short one, and you're going to put it on one side, just like this. Okay? Take your short side, and we're going to put it right here. No. It depends on where you're at. Okay, this for mine it would not work because I have my triangles going this direction, so I actually need to put it on this side. So line it up just like it's going to be when it's finished, okay? To decide which direction it'll go. Because this is what makes the decision as to where you're going to put it. So this one has to go on this side and this one has to go on this side. If yours is on the other one or turned the other direction, then you're going to have to put it on this side. But this is the way mine goes because you want this point pointing down towards through the center. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. Now, it would be nice if we didn't have to match any of this up, but we do. So I just nest them up real quick. And you know what nesting is, right? Because we've all nested. Nesting is just when you take two that are going opposite directions and you're just pushing them together till they meet up. And just be careful that you don't over push. Pin, pin, pin. I would pin it all the way down. Nest it. And again, all I'm doing is I'm pulling it to the center till the two of them meet up. When they meet up, then they're together. Miss Sue, if you're still on, let me know what you're missing. If you didn't get the email from earlier this week, I need to send it to you again. Because I got the same list that I copy every single week and put on there and send it to. And then when I know for sure that I saw your name on my Facebook list when I invited everybody to the Facebook. But if you're not getting it, I need to know so we can figure out what's going on. Okay, now we're going to take this over and sew it down. And I usually do kind of get really close to the pins because I want it to be anchored in that seam before I pull the pin. So I make sure that it at least started over the top of that and it doesn't move until I want it to move. Because, you know, sometimes if you pull that pin too early, then it will slide right off. Slide your seam right out of where it's supposed to be. Okay. Okay, guys, one more, and then we're done. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I know I lost about half my people so far, but that's okay. I just assume they're going to come back later and watch it at a different time because it did get kind of long today. But I remember when we did these during COVID, same thing happened. I mean, some of them would be so long. Um, so what I did is I actually turned the seam under because it was getting kind of bulky. Now you could iron these open, but I'm just going to iron it the direction of the purple. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. And we should be 12.5 inches. Yep, looks good. Okay. Now, last one. And again, your purple should be pointing this way, right down the center. If it's not, then it needs to go on the other side. Okay? All right. One more pin. If your seams can't nest because of the way maybe you've ironed them in a different direction, then all I do is usually push it around. I know that's probably not the way you're supposed to do it, but if I like to have it nested. If it's not ironed open, I like to have it nested. And right now it looks like most of the seams are going in the right directions to be able to nest. There we go. All right, I understand, Miss Laura. Sometimes, if you watch something a couple of different times, eventually, it's like all of a sudden it might click into place. It just clicks in. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, I get it. And there are sections that you probably want to be able to, look at over and over again. And then there are some sections you're like, okay, well, I know this one. I don't need to look at that again. Okay. So once we have everything pinned down, and I'm going to pin this corner, just because I noticed on my last one it wanted to try and slide away from me, so I'm going to pin that down. All right, we're going to come over. Oop, nope, not that one. Okay. All right. And again, I'm letting the feed dogs do their business. Even though I feel like it's wanting to pucker some of the fabric. And don't get frustrated. I know some of these designs can be a little frustrating at times, but don't get frustrated. Just keep trying at it. That's what I had to do when I was working these designs. Drawing them up is a whole lot easier than getting them out on, putting them on paper is a whole lot easier than putting them on fabric. And so there were times that I got pretty frustrated with mine, but just stick with it. I promise you, you will not regret it. And the more times you practice and work on it, the better you'll get out at it, which is what I have found. Okay. Now for the final reveal here, I'm going to flip it because I want to iron it the other direction. Well, except for my few little pieces of thread that popped through on me, which we all get that too. I can attest to that because I have long arms for some of you, and I know for a fact that you get stuff that pops up through, which is fine. It happens, even to me. Okay, so I got the seam going this way, and I'm going to try not to push too much or pull too much, because you know what happens when you do that. Then you start to get your square kind of wonky, and you don't want to do that. Okay. All right, y'all. Isn't it beautiful? Sorry, I knocked my light over. There we go. Isn't it just gorgeous? Oh my gosh. I love this one. Okay, let's check it. Yep. Might actually be just a little bit wide. Here, let's grab the 12.5-inch square, which is way over here. Okay, I got it. I think I might have stretched my arm out trying to get it. But for the most part, you should wind up right on the money. Ta-da! All right, guys. You did fantastic. Thank you for hanging with me and sticking with me through how long this is and all my little mistakes. And like I said, I'm going to do some work to fix it. Let's go here, here, here. Okay, I have plans to do some fixing on this. So not not this itself, but on the instructions. So I want to make sure that when I send it to you, the pattern, that it has some of those fixes on there, like, cut diagonal, you only need one. Cut diagonal, you'll need both. Cut diagonal, you'll need two of the four. Put the other four away, or put the other two away. So I have just a little bit of correcting I need to do on it. No big deal, but I'll have it ready, and you should get your next email by 10 o'clock on Monday. If you don't get it in your mail by 10 o'clock on Monday, your email, you need to let me know. There are some that when I send it from the business side, you don't get it. It's like your email sees it and says, nope, sorry, no good, and it tosses it out. I don't even know what it does with it. So I send it from my personal, and then it shows up, so you're good on that. I just need to remember there's about 3 of them I have to do that with. And then I have one lady who can't watch it on Facebook, so I send her the link to the YouTube when it's done, which again takes me a while. Anyways, this is our block. This is what it looks like. It's gorgeous. You guys are going to do a great job. If you're able to finish it tonight, send me a picture. I can't wait to see it. If you're going to have to take a couple days and maybe go over the video a few times, feel free. I can't wait to see what it looks like. You're doing a fantastic job. I don't want to keep you on any longer. If there are thank you, Miss Carol. Thank you, Miss Laura. If there's anything else, any questions I can answer for you, feel free. You can text me. You can message me. You can email me. I'm happy to answer any questions. I have had a fantastic time. I apologize this one took so long. Unfortunately, these blocks, they won't be a whole lot more complicated than this, but they're not going to get a lot easier. So we're going to probably be spending more time working on them. So make sure you set that time away if you can. If you can't, again, you can always watch the videos, no problem. But I sure enjoy having you on with me during the whole time. It's very encouraging. You guys have been wonderful encouragement to me and keeping me motivated and keeping me going. And I'm loving designing these blocks and getting them out to you. Again, these were already pre-designed. I promise I'm not doing them on the fly. I had them designed up like 3 years ago. And I enjoyed working on them, and I enjoy sharing them. So this has been a pleasure for me. Let's go ahead and do a moment of prayer, and then I can release you to go have some dinner, because I haven't had dinner yet either. All right. Father, I just thank you so much for the company that you've given me tonight to share with me this time, to rejoice over the chances of Thanksgiving, to tell our friends and family what we're thankful for, and for giving us an opportunity to share. Just ask you to give each of us a beautiful week coming up, and that each person will have a safe and wonderful week. And I will see them on Sunday, and we'll get to share what a wonderful week we had. I just thank you for it and give you all honor and glory in Jesus' name. Amen. Listen, y'all have a fantastic week. I can't wait to see some of the stuff you've done. I can't wait to see the colors. Man, it just blows me away when I see some of the quilts blocks that you guys send me, so I can see and post them on the page. Thank you. I hope you had fun. And I hope I will see you next Sunday at 4 o'clock. Well, 3:45. I try to go on early so I can make sure everybody's up and running and that all my glitches are worked out. I had it all up earlier, and then all of a sudden I had a one camera glitch. And it's like, really? But anyways, we're doing great. We're doing fantastic. And again, thank you so much. I have really, really enjoyed this. And I hope your week is wonderful. Mwah.